Plagiarism, unfortunately all too common in the games industry and disconcertingly common in the Call of Duty franchise. You may recall that not long ago I discussed this case involving this anthropomorphic dog skin. Turns out this was stolen blatantly from another artist. The artist in question goes by the name Sail Lin, and looking at the original artwork, you can see it's basically an almost one-to-one copy with some stuff here and there changed up. Sail Lin went on Twitter to call out Call of Duty Vanguard's blatant plagiarism, and there's a tweet that went viral. This got lots of coverage, and along the way, people began to highlight previous cases of plagiarism on the part of Call of Duty, like this situation involving Dan Luvisi's LMS artwork. And then here's another instance where Call of Duty Warzone straight up stole the logo of this Gundam here. And then here's another case involving a shot from an anime that was straight up ripped, changed up a little bit, and then used as an original asset. As this story gained traction, Activision eventually got wind of this situation. Sail Lin was eventually contacted by Activision in the hopes of a resolution, and slowly we started to see Activision acknowledge that this is a case of plagiarism, and Charlie Intel reported here how the blog post we were looking at before, whereas previously it featured a banner with the dog skin that was plagiarized, that was eventually changed so that it wouldn't be featured anymore. And so the speculation became that the skin would likely be removed, and that's indeed what happened, as reported by Charlie Intel here. The company says they have removed the skin completely and apologized to the artist. The statement that they gave out to media outlets reads, "We have the utmost respect for creativity and content creation. We love the loyal Samoyed, but regrettably we erred in our process and have removed this imagery from the game. We apologize for the misstep." It's an apology we'd be able to take more seriously if plagiarism wasn't so common within Call of Duty, and if that instance wasn't followed up by yet another accusation of plagiarism within the span of just a few weeks. In the span of a month, we're already getting a second case of plagiarism being reported on. So this is a tweet posted by the official Call of Duty Twitter page. "Have you tried turning off and turning it back on again? Shut down their systems with the malware Ultra Skin bundle available now in Call of Duty Vanguard and Call of Duty Warzone." Now, I don't know why they're adding this skin to Call of Duty Vanguard. It just doesn't belong in that World War II setting. But more importantly, people began to point out that this piece of artwork certainly looks very familiar. Here's a video of the skin in-game for those who are curious about that. And if we look at comparisons that were provided by fans, Mike CA tweeted this: "Looks like whoever created the skin tried to copy the variant of one of the leaders of Midnight Society. Sad." Midnight Society, for those who don't know, is a game development studio established by Dr. Disrespect, and they're creating this game called Dead Drop, which is labeled as a vertical extraction shooter. Unfortunately, it's an NFT game. I'll definitely talk about this in a future video. I'm not in support of Dead Drop at all, but I'm certainly not in support of plagiarizing other people's work either. Though ironically, by promoting and creating an NFT video game in the form of Dead Drop, Midnight Society is promoting the NFT landscape, a landscape where plagiarism is rampant. So I cannot say that I feel entirely sorry for Dead Drop and Midnight Society, but that doesn't mean that plagiarism on the part of Activision and Call of Duty, especially with how many times it's happened already, is right. And you can see right here responding to Charlie Intel's tweet showing the skin in-game, and then scrolling down you've got somebody who tweeted sus alongside an image showing various iterations of the original artwork. Now this Metro UK article further summarizes the situation in an article whose headline reads, "Call of Duty accused of ripping off Dr. Disrespect game for newest skin." Scrolling down you'll find the details. The new Doomsayer skin looks like a near one-to-one copy of a skin that is not only set to appear in Dead Drop, but is also used by studio co-founder Robert Bowling as his profile picture on Twitter. Now, much like Dr. Disrespect, Robert Bowling is also a well-known figure because once upon a time he actually used to work as a creative lead on the Call of Duty series while he was at Infinity Ward, which makes this situation all the more ironic. He left the studio back in 2012 following the release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. And with plenty of people knowing Robert Bowling's involvement in Midnight Society and in Dead Drop, and the fact that he literally, as you can see here, uses that skin as his profile picture, or this character design as his profile picture. Plenty of people tweeted at him. I think Robert Bowling is going to be happy to see that Activision just added his own skin in Vanguard. Maybe not. And here's a direct side-by-side. Robert Bowling himself did get wind of this with plenty of people informing him, and he cheekily tweeted, hey, at least name it after me. And it'll be interesting to see how Activision responds to all of this. With the previous instance of plagiarism, they did admit that they messed up. They did remove the skin from the game and deleted all marketing materials that presented the plagiarized work and apologized to the artist. In this case, I wonder if something similar will happen, or if Activision will claim that this is actually original art that happens to look similar to somebody else's concept. Some people are saying, well, you know, the whole sci-fi skull mask with a hood, it's not the most original design. There have been various iterations of something like this. Somebody here pointing out a similar design from Call of Duty Cold War, which features this skin with a more orange, kind of hellish looking version of that hooded, masked skull face kind of character design, that it's possible for two artists to come up with a similar idea for something like this, and maybe that's the situation that happened here. I don't know what to say on that front. For my part, these designs look similar enough, or at the very least it is suspicious, but it doesn't help Activision's case that Call of Duty has a long track record of plagiarism, and if this is yet another case of plagiarism, then I feel like at this point, with this having happened so many times, an apology is no longer enough. Now, one question that I kept raising in my previous video covering the instance of plagiarism involving the humanoid dog skin was, why do plagiarists keep doing this? I mean, what makes them think that they can get away with it? And, well, I got a number of interesting comments, especially from people who know artists or are artists, who contributed some insight that I think is worth sharing, like Alfonso here, who said, an artist friend of mine, a freelancer, says that this is extremely common, and most of the time it goes unnoticed. Just think that most of the work they do are not so exposed. I guess it makes sense that one of the reasons that artists gamble on plagiarizing in the hopes that they don't get noticed is that most of the time they will get away with it, because most of the time they'll plagiarize work from smaller artists who don't have the voice to be able to put out there that, hey, my work got stolen, and for people to really notice that. And so usually the gamble of plagiarizing pays off, and that ability to get away with it most of the time without much in the way of consequences will only serve as incentive for artists to partake in such a nefarious activity. But a larger issue to keep in mind is the way artists are treated and how that contributes to somebody going, oh man, I think I'm just going to have to plagiarize some work here because this is just getting too much. Here's a comment from Unreasonable Opinions, who presented an interesting perspective, which reads, by far the largest cause of art plagiarism in professional circles is internal artists not having the time to do their jobs right. Nobody gets into this job wanting to loot other people's stuff, but when you have 3 times the workload, then you have the time. There is one obvious way to fix it. The fact that it might get found out in a few months doesn't matter when you're getting screamed at by an arsehole boss right now. Now, do I think that excuses plagiarism in any way, shape, or form? Absolutely not. But it is always good to look into the root causes of why certain nefarious things happen, what drives certain types of behavior. And in the case of game developer artists plagiarizing, a lot of it has to do with a workplace that just doesn't allow them to breathe, that doesn't give them enough time to do their work right, that puts way too much pressure on them with too little time to complete their work. And that just drives them towards, desperate measures, if you will. Their bosses are going down hard on them. They fear losing their jobs. So it's better for them to take the gamble of plagiarizing and getting work done on time than the certainty of likely getting fired or having their career hampered if they don't submit their work on time within an unreasonable time frame. So that's a perspective I'm like, okay, I can kind of sympathize with that. Again, that doesn't excuse it one bit, but that does highlight a root cause that potentially needs to be tackled. Here's one more comment worth highlighting. I know that Yang said towards the end, you're going to get caught eventually. Simply, the truth is that most don't. The sheer amount of plagiarism in the art world these days is on another level. Especially in the world of graphic design and anything digital, small artists get shafted literally nonstop, and even when they make us think about it, it doesn't blow up. Like this example, big companies know some small artists can't afford a lawyer to go to bat for them and defend their work, or they make the tiniest of changes to argue it's different. Now, I'm not saying that YouTube comments should be taken as any sort of official source, but when I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I think back to the whole Philip Mewson situation. Do you remember the IGN plagiarist? And how long it took for him to get caught for plagiarism, even though he was doing it for years, essentially. Some stuff was just really, really blatant too, but it wasn't until he messed up at IGN, a huge major news outlet in the gaming realm, that his past plagiarisms really came to the limelight. The fact that it took so long for someone like Philip Mewson, who has been plagiarizing so blatantly for so long, to finally get called out and to finally get caught on a mass level, goes to highlight that those who engage in plagiarism more subtly or exploit smaller artists, do likely get away with it, and plagiarists can likely get away with it enough that enough artists deem it worth the gamble. And a lot of what initiates plagiarism might very well be a certain pressure that an artist feels, and then they become complacent to the process, they become too comfortable, that eventually turns into a pattern that they're being successful at, and so they keep doing it until one day they get caught on a level that completely dishevels their career. But when it comes to a company like Activision, they are one of the biggest gaming conglomerates in the world. The fact that this keeps happening with Activision and Call of Duty goes to highlight that Activision needs to start taking proactive steps, be it vetting artists better or just improving the workplace and the way artists are treated so that they're more incentivized to do original good work instead of being pressured so much that they feel like they have no choice but to take the desperate route of plagiarizing so that they don't get screamed at by their bosses, or so that they don't risk their livelihood, their career, their jobs. Now, do I think that Activision will eventually take proactive steps? Honestly, as long as they keep getting away with it, I don't think so. I mean, with numerous past instances of plagiarism, they've just kind of been able to get away with it with a simple apology, and they likely know that especially smaller artists will be afraid to engage in a legal battle against a corporate giant like Activision. Not to mention that they likely know that smaller artists especially can't really afford to lawyer up and to engage in a long-term legal battle. Now, more prominent figures like Dr. Disrespect and Robert Bowling of Midnight Society could potentially pursue legal action and be able to afford it. I mean, Dr. Disrespect is he's pretty rich at this point, but I'm curious to see how the situation will be handled, whether they care enough to pursue legal action or whether they just want Activision to get rid of the skin and acknowledge the plagiarism and apologize, and that'll be enough for them. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. But yeah, it's just not a good look when you can point to so many cases of plagiarism to one company, to one franchise. That is indication that Activision needs to do more. But when you consider how long it took Activision Blizzard to begin to be more proactive about the workplace of harassment, abuse, misconduct, and discrimination, proactive actions that they only started to take because they were called out by the DFEH and because all these stories came to the surface, which served as a severe blow for optics surrounding Activision Blizzard, especially where investors were concerned, the people Activision really cares about. And when you consider how throughout all of that, Activision executives tried to deny that there was a culture of harassment, abuse, misconduct, and discrimination at the company, tried to deny all of the accusations that employees levied against them, and tried to silence employees, and took measures that prioritized defending the company over defending the human beings that they were responsible for as employers, it's abundantly clear that Activision Blizzard, under its current leadership, will never take proactive action for the sake of morality. It's only when negative optics begin to affect their financial prospects that they'll actually be jolted into action. But that's just one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on just the general plagiarism that can occur in gaming and how frequently it seems to occur with Call of Duty specifically, and what you think the causes and solutions are surrounding all of this. Share your thoughts below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.